Okay, I think we will start now. A wonderful evening to all of you PVAID members from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. I'm very excited to impart new things for tonight's discussion in our drug-free Philippines movement. Our topic is leadership from rugs to riches. It is all about the power of our mind, related to people who loses hope and faith in life. For those people who are fighting from depression and drug addiction, we will discuss how our minds can be in control to our daily lives and determine how we become. All of this can be proven by our guests and co-hosts tonight, and they will share their life story and testimony how they overcome hardship from rags to riches. Please welcome Mr. Junicio Rivera from Global Assets Philippines. Mr. Johnny, can you please introduce yourself? Just an introduction.
Hi, good morning. Good evening dyan sa inyo. Ako lang yata nandito sa States. Morning dito. I was born in the Philippines in Quezon province, but they changed the province. Now it's called Aurora, Dingalan, Aurora. And moved from, I was an orphan at an early age. I moved from relatives to relatives and then, finished high school, college, and married. And then we ended up in Texas in 1983. And we've been here since then. You'll hear more about it later on. I'm in the nursing home and assisted living facility business, and also in the real estate development. Thank you.
Okay, that was a very nice introduction from you, Mr. Johnny. Let me also welcome Mr. Takiki Furukobo, ex-Vice President of Okada Resort and Casino, located in Manila Bay. Mr. Takiki-san, can you please introduce yourself? Just an introduction about you. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, hello everybody. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me this kind of conference. I was born in Japan in Kansai area, and then mainly I spent my life in Tokyo. And then my career, I started in Tokyo working in retail and then F&B industry. And then after 3 years, I worked for a company in London 3 years, and then back to Japan and spent 20 years. And then I come to Philippines in 2018 to work for Okada Manila as a vice president of retail and leasing. And then I spent here 3 years, so happily. That's why I just left Okada to start a new business here in Philippines. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay, that was Mr. Takiki-san. Okay, sir, you are very much welcome here in our program, Drug-Free Philippines Movement. Okay, let me also introduce myself. My name is Mark Cadili, your host tonight in Drug-Free Philippines Movement and the Vice President of PVAID, or People's Volunteer Against Illegal Drugs. Also the CEO of Orient World Business Development Corporation and the CEO of Orient Visa and Immigration Services. Okay guys, just feel free, sit back and relax, for we are about to unlock new things for tonight's discussion. I'm pretty sure that you are excited to listen and participate in our tonight discussion. But before anything else, let us all know first our objectives. At the end of the discussion, I'm hoping and praying for you to understand how powerful our mind is, how it can influence our daily lives and even change someone's perception. Tonight's discussion may help to improve your thoughts, behavior, and feelings, and can differentiate the right and wrong, and the value and the importance of the mind for personal development. Okay, let us now start and watch a 7-minute video presentation that I prepared. Okay, for a while.
Thomas, why are you not in school? Your son is a genius. This school is too small for him and doesn't have enough good teachers for training him. Please teach him yourself. I'm gonna have you read to me today. So here you go. Remember where we left off? I think we were here. So start from there.
Miss Edison, your son is adult. He is mentally slow and unable to think clearly. We won't let him come to school anymore. Sincerely, Headmaster Jonas.
Okay, that was the life story of Thomas Edison. Before we proceed, let me also acknowledge the sponsors of our program, Drug Free Philippines Movement. Let's have a break.
Virus.
Won't you be my, won't you be my, won't you be my Valentine? Because I adore you, I'd give anything for you. You make me smile, smile, smile. And when I'm around you, things kinda get hazy. Because I am crazy, crazy for you. I cannot describe.
Okay, that was the sponsors of our program, Drug Free Philippines Movement, which is PVAID, our People's Volunteer Against Illegal Drugs, and Soleil's Drug Rehabilitation Center. Okay, guys, this is the moment that we have been waiting for. Let us hear the life testimony of our guest and co-host. Allow me to introduce Mr. Junicio Rivera. Please welcome, sir. You may now start.
Good evening or good morning. My name is Dionisio Rivera and I was born in the Philippines. I was born in Dingalan, Quezon. I am what you call an ulilang lubos. I'm an orphan from an early age. My mother died when I was maybe 2.5 or 3 years old. I don't even remember her face. I don't have any recollection how she looks. It's just, I have one picture of her before, but I lost that picture already. And then my family, we own some strips of land in a little barrio in Bagong Sikat. But when my mother got sick, my dad started to sell that property so she can get some treatment. And my relatives were mad at my dad because of what he was selling. He's selling the ancestral, properties that we have. And then when she died, we moved from place to place, and we ended up in Baler, Dingalan, where I was born, and then back to Gabaldo, Nueva Ecija. And then my father died when I was 7 years old. So now, we ended up with, relatives. The relatives of my father, because they were mad at my dad, they were not really very nice to us. So we ended up with the relatives of my mom. And, I stayed in one place, and I was about 8 years old, and I have not, been to school. So every morning when I see the kids walking towards the school, I have the urge and the desire that somehow I can go to school. So my brother and I have an agreement, and he's listening. He's, in one of the participants right now. So we have an agreement that he would work for somebody for 2 kabans of rice, 2 sacks of rice a year. And that sack of rice will be given to me for my sustenance where I'm staying with a relative so I can go to school. So I went to school, grade 1 at 8 years old. And then the following year, another relative took me, and they said they are going to, send me to school. So I went. But that was not a pleasant experience either. And then I went to a third relative. This relative, though, is, a lot better because, they are Christian, and, I like them. My aunt, who is also a widower, had 2 children, and my cousins are older than myself. After that year, grade 3, after grade 3, I moved back to the first relative where we stayed. And my aunt then at the time remarried, and then we ended up working in the farm. Well, I told my aunt I really wanted to go to school, and she promised she would send me to school. But when enrollment came, I wasn't enrolled, and I was very unhappy. And my brother, we have a cousin that wanted to go to Manila the following week, and my brother wanted to go with him. And I said, no, you better not leave me here. So we put up a scheme to where we would have to live together. And 5 o'clock in the morning, when the bus, passed by, we just hopped into the bus, and, we ended up in Manila. I was about 12 years old in Manila. My brother found a job as a dishwasher in a restaurant. I found a job as I wash clothes and linen in a small hotel. That was a hard work, but at least I have a place to stay and have food, and I have, money every end of the month. And then the third relative where I stayed, I really like, the way they treated me in there. So I wrote my cousin and says, I miss Artacho, and every Saturday we go to church. And I told them I also miss Sabbath school, which is, where they teach you the stories of the Bible. And my cousin sent that letter to her brother who is in Manila. And that brother started looking for me in Manila and found me where I was at and asked if I would like to go back to his mom. And I said yes, because I wanted to go back to school. So 14 years old, I was grade 4. And I'm the oldest student in the class. Well, to make the long story short, I finished high school in that academy. And then I went to college as a working student and, finished a bachelor's degree in accounting, and then, started to work. Well, I married my high school sweetheart, and she's a registered nurse, and she found a job and came to the US. And then, she came for 2 years and came back and brought myself and my daughter with her to come to Texas in 1983. We've been in Texas since 1983. It was not an easy, thing to come to the US. In fact, I had a hard time looking for a job. But then because her uncle, my wife's uncle, had a nursing home, that's where we ended up. And I took a training to become a nursing home administrator. And when I finished that training, I started looking for a job. The kind of job that I found is a big company. The largest nursing home chain in the United States. The number 2 and number 3 can only equal to Beverly Enterprises at the time. The job that they gave me is a floating administrator, because they have so many nursing homes, they lose administrators, and when they don't have one, they, ship me in that nursing home, and I clean that up, and then they hire another administrator and then move on to, to another one. I did that for 2.5 years, and because we have young kids, I, told myself I needed a job where I don't have to be traveling overnight. So I left that company and worked for somebody else. We ended up in El Paso, Texas, and that's where we have been ever since. Now, we have, been able to establish ourselves over here, had a good reputation. And one day, a friend of mine came to my office and he asked me to go with him because he wanted to buy a nursing home. So we went to that place that he was gonna buy the nursing home. But Mr. Johns, who is the owner of the nursing home, told my friend Rudy, his name is Rudy, he said, Rudy, I'm not gonna sell my nursing home to you because you bought my nursing home, my dad's nursing home last year, and you didn't do a good job. And he said, well, that's the reason why I brought Dione with me, so that, we can work together to, to buy your nursing home. But Mr. John said, no, I don't really want to do that. So maybe you can give me 2 or 3 weeks and see if, I would reconsider. So we left. Rudy was unhappy, and, I was also not expecting that kind of treatment that we got. 2 weeks after that, Mr. Johns came to my office and he said, Dione, I would rather sell the nursing home to you. And I told Mr. Johns, Mr. Johns, I cannot even talk to you because I was brought to you by Rudy. And that would not be right for me to talk to you without him knowing it. So he understood that. And I said, let me talk to Rudy and see what, we can come up with. So I talked to Rudy, and Rudy was not really happy, but he was wanting to be part of the deal. And if I could convince Mr. Johns that we become partners, and then, we can run his nursing home. But when I went to talk to Mr. Johns, he was firm that Rudy would not be part of the deal. However, I told Mr. Johns, I said, Mr. Johns, I don't even have money. I can't even think of, buying any nursing home at this point. So he said, well, start looking for some money, and I am going to medical school, and I'm not going to miss that opportunity. That's what he told me. So I have to sell this nursing home. So then, 2 weeks after, I thought I could raise some money, and so I gave him an offer, but I wasn't able to raise the money. So I told Mr. Johns, I said, no, I'm gonna, pull out my offer, and I'd rather not do anything because I don't really have the money. So he said, well, if I self-finance the deal, do you think you wanted to to take it? And I said, well, I don't know. I told him, let me find out what I can do. So he wanted $250,000 US dollars as a down payment, but I don't even have that kind of money. So after 2 weeks, I called him again and went to his office, and I told him, no, I could not really, raise the money. I don't have a means to do it. He said, well, I really wanted to go to school. And he said, this is your only opportunity to get a nursing home of your own, and my only opportunity to become a medical doctor. So I said, yeah, but if I don't have the means, I can't really do anything. He said, I'm going to reduce your down payment. Can you raise $50,000? I said, Mr. Johns, I don't even have that kind of money. So I left his office, and I was talking to my wife, and that conversation for 2 weeks, that's the kind of a conversation we had with my wife. And Norma, that's her name, my wife's name is Norma, after 2 weeks told me and said, what if I can find the $50,000? Would you make me a partner of the business? I want half of the business. I said, now you're being a businesswoman rather than being a nurse. I told her jokingly. He said, well, can you really raise the $50,000? And she said, yes. So her and myself went to Mr. Johns, and I told him, yes, we have the $50,000, but these are my deals. So we sat down, in a hotel, not a hotel, a restaurant. And it's about 10 o'clock, and we were, they were about to close the restaurant, and we were still there trying to haggle on the list that I have prepared. So he crossed out my list and signed it off, and then handed me the keys, and he never came back to his office. Whatever personal stuff that he has, I have to put it in a box, and he never came back to the nursing home until 5 years later when he finished medical school. So that's how I ended up, owning a nursing home. I didn't have any money of my own, but God has been good to us. Let me read something here that I found in, somewhere later on. Success and wealth generation does not happen overnight, but through hard work, enthusiasm, and dedication to your most abundant life, you can learn what it takes to build massive prosperity and a lasting legacy for generations to come. Well, God has been good, and through that nursing home, we were able to, do some side business. And there was a time when I bought some land. My daughter was going to school in South Fort Worth. So I visited her one day and I was reading that newspaper in that little town where she was at. And I knew that there was a business that filed bankruptcy. And then I saw the sign for sale, 20 acres of land near the university where my daughter was going to school. So I put a contract on that land, and my wife was mad at me because, you know, why would you even buy something that does not earn you anything? And I told her, control. I wanted to control that land. So we bought that land, and then through God's providence and everything, when gas was being discovered in West Texas, where they do the fracking, they started to lease land all over, and they contacted me and says, we want to lease your land so that we can drill gas wells underneath it. So I remember when during the closing of of that property, the contract says that mineral will not convey. So I told the guy that called me and said, no, I don't own the mineral rights. So I said, well, can you send me your contract? So I sent him a copy of my contract, and I never heard from him since then. But then 2 years after, I got another call, and he said, well, we're drilling gas all over the university, and your property is in the way for for us to drill. We really need to lease your land. I said again, well, I talked to someone 2 years ago, and I don't own the mineral right. So again, he asked me, and this is a different person, he asked me to send him the contract, and then called me back in about a couple of days, and he said, Mr. Rivera, nobody owns the mineral rights on your land. And I said, what do you mean? I said, it says in the contract that mineral right will not convey. And he said, well, they have that kind of wording, but they don't own, the person that sold you the land don't own the mineral right either. So I said, well, how can you find out? And he says, well, I'm a landman, he said, and I will do the search, and if you promise to give me the deal, I will register the mineral right under your name. And I said, well, then you got a deal. So 2 weeks after, he called me and said, I got it registered, and I'm sending the document to you, but I'm also sending, the gas lease so that you can sign, and, and we can start drilling. So the amount that I paid for the surface of the land, I got more money in the gas lease than the amount I paid for the surface of the land. So God is good. And I still own the land at the time. And so my wife was happy because, we were able to get more money and pay for, the monthly payment that we were doing. I sold that land last year, and I was able to make about 450% from the amount that I, bought it for, plus the gas lease that I was able to make about 150% of the amount of what I paid for the surface of the land. So God has been good to us. All right. And now, last year or earlier this year, I also sold a property that I bought in the Philippines, and we made some, little money. So anyway, that's the story of what we have. And through my trips to Manila, when I was running the hospital in Pangasinan, my alumni association built a hospital in Pangasinan, and I was elected as the president of that hospital even before it opened. So through my travel over there, I met Mark. I call him Leo. That's the name he was using at that time, but now he prefers to be called Mark. So I met him and we became friends. And, every time I go to the Philippines, we meet and, and have lunch or whatever. And, it's been a good, friendship. And I really appreciate Mark's friendship. And my trip last month, I wasn't really able to meet anybody, even my family. We went to my wife's family because her mom and her dad were getting sick and has been in and out of the hospital. And in fact, my wife's dad died last week, Thursday last week, and they're gonna bury him today. So we're not even able to go home because of the COVID situation. But we warned them already that we're not going to be able to go home if he or my wife's mom dies. So that's the situation. Anyway, that's my story, and I have more stories to tell, but I think I'm gonna end there, and maybe there might be some questions later on that I should be able to answer. To close, what I would like to say is, education is really, really important. Can you imagine being 14 years old and you are in grade 4? You're the laughing stock of of the students in the school. But nevertheless, I wanted to go to school, so I said, I don't care what they call me, and they call me an elder, but that I just take that as a joke, and we've been good. Perseverance is the other thing that helped me, with my work, and also honesty. I think it's really, really important. You got to treat the people really well, and you create a kind of character, and people will will not be scared to make a deal with you, like what Mr. John's did, or Dr. John. He's a doctor right now. He was the one that came knocking on my door and wanted to sell his nursing home, even though I didn't have the capacity to do it at that time. But God has provided for us, and we love the Lord, and we wanted to help people. And Mark, I'm going to talk to you more about Solace Rehabilitation Center later on a separate thing that we can talk about. I did not know about that company. Maybe I like to become a member of PAVED, an international member, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that this experience that I have will help others to send your kids to school. That's the only thing. Thank you.
Okay, that is a wonderful, inspiring story, sir. I almost cried, Mr. Johnny. That was a very, very touching story. Okay, may we call on our next speaker, Mr. Takiki Furukubu. Please, sir, you may now begin.
Today, I just have this opportunity to tell you about the leadership I felt in my experience here in Philippines for 3 years. I think every activities or every group have to have a leadership to attain their goals. So I just approach this event from a bit different angles. So please listen to me about 20 minutes, my presentation. I have 5 important factors to be a leader. First, leader have to be a supporter and connector. What I mean is usually in my experience in this country, the usual organization, even in a business or the government, there is a top, and then usually the command come from the top to the bottom. This is the usual organization and usual management in any society or any business. But the new leader have to have this kind of way of thinking. This shows here is the leader have to support the front line. Front line is the people who give that group the value, who is fighting or the who is making effort. So the leader is not look down the people in the front line, but look up and respect the people. And then between the front line and then customer or the guest or the target people, their value is there. So we have to always support the front line, so customer. That's the new leader. And also, yes, one moment. The leader have to be a connector, because some big organization have a lots of small divisions or the sections. If they independently work or do something, there is no bigger power as an organization. So leader have to talk to the next, in this church, say next VP. You have to discuss, argue, sometimes get along each other, sometimes yes, compromise, but you have to have a discussion, talk with next to each other. That's the new leader in a new organization. So I want to say guest first, and then company second, team, and then me. So to be a boss, it's just the measure, not the purpose. So to be a boss is to attain something, to attain the goals. So that's misunderstand sometimes happens in any organization. And then the leader next, second, leader have to be a coach for personal team growth. The people have a dreams. Oh, I want to be a star like that. But I felt sometimes that they cannot see the steps, how they can reach that stars. They have a willingness, they have a promising young people, they have a hope, they have a dream, or they want to change their life, or they want to change their habit. But how? They don't know. So the leader shouldn't be just sitting in front of the computer, watching the data, say something. It's not the leader. Leader have to show the steps how to reach their goals. But not only showing the steps, but also the coach show, okay, team mission is this, team strategy is this, and then I will stand by you, I understand you, and then question answer, then co-think how to climb up the one step. Not easy to take one step up, and then recommend how to go up, and then guide them, support them. That's the new leader necessary in the world after the COVID. The third, leader have to be a personal consultant. Means always company, organization, any team have some direction. Okay, we go to this direction. But in case of not the personal, but in case of the team or organization or the company, one direction consists of several directions of each members. This sum is the big direction, big power. Okay, so there is a one subordinate. This green arrow shows the roles, tasks of a company, of an organization. And then red one is personal preference, means what she or he want to do. If red line is like this direction, and then the leader give a green work, green role to him or her, the power is not long, short. But if the leader gives new green roles to the person who prefer the direction of a red, the power is longer than before. That's the leader have to do, or they have to guide the person or the subordinate. The people have show full energy, full power when he can do almost he likes. So in another word, I can say the leader's role as a personal consultant is just recommendation and matching. The shorten or the distance between the green arrow and then red arrow closer to each other. Fourth, leader have to be logical thinker. There are many this kind of way of proceed any job or activities, but I recommend like this. I just stirred H, hypothesis, and then because we have a target, we have some missions. Any group or any company have a missions or the goals we have to do. Okay, what is the problem, and then what is how we can be.
Just 1 hour. I should have gone.
That is the how we can approach there, how we can reach there. We should have a hypothesis, and then we should know what is happening around us. Who is our teammate? Who is the competitor? Who is what is the obstacles in front of us, and then analysis. Then we have to make a plan. Of course, plan doesn't have to be perfect. Then do, speedy, dash, do. Then we have to watch closely what happens. the customer reaction, members reaction, what happening there. We shouldn't, as I told you, we shouldn't sit down in front of the computer in a desk in a room surrounded by the glass. That's not the leader. That's not the boss we want. The globally needs. The boss have to go down to the front line or to the spot where there's something happening. Then watch, and so many questions. Why? So many questions the leader have, and then member should have, and then share the question why. And then again, we back to the hypothesis. This kind of logical thinking and then logical leading of the team is must for a new leader. Finally, just for a moment. Leader also have to be a challenger, game changer. As you know, the business or every environment is changing, especially now because of COVID. And then more longer span, the IT revolution or the AI may come to our world or already come here and then taking some roles. But largest risk is to do nothing in the new world. It's chance loss. So leader have to have enough brave to let your team and yourself to take a risk. Of course, firstly, success. Yes, we are happy, everybody happy, but not so easy. But if there is a success, it's team members' fruits. If there is a failure, mistake, trouble, yes, leaders have a responsibility. Leaders shouldn't say it's none of my business or it's not my fault. That's not the word the leader should tell. So failure or the mistake is the steps for the success. There is a many saying that a man is finished when he is defeated. He is finished when he quit. Every failure is a stepping stone that leads to the success. So leader have to be a challenger with a strong mind and a game changer. And then many failure, mistake, trouble make the team leader himself and each member of the team, each member of the group much stronger, and then going up to the new steps, new worlds. Those 5 factors, I think, the necessary requirement for the new leader after the COVID. That's all. Salamat po. Thank you.
Okay. That was a word of wisdom coming from Mr. Takiki-san about leadership. Very, very educational, sir. Mr. Takiki-san, thank you. Again, this program, Drug-Free Philippines Movement, is sponsored by PBID and Soleil's Rehabilitation Center. We will again introduce our sponsors. Please watch the video.
you be my, won't you be my, won't you be my Valentine? Because I adore you, I'd give anything for you. You make me smile, smile, smile. And when I'm around you, things kinda get hazy. Because I am crazy, crazy for you. I cannot describe.
Okay, guys. I am now inviting everyone to ask questions from the audience or from the participants. We are now open to any questions. Anyone? Yes, Mr. Dennis Roy Tano from PVAID. Mr. Dennis Roy Tano is the Regional Director for PVAID Region 6. Sir, you may ask your question.
Good
Go ahead,
evening.
Dennis. Go ahead.
Yes, okay. Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to learn more from the testimony of Mr. Rivera. I have learned so much from him, and also from the lecture of Takiki-san. Arigatou gozaimasu. Very nice, not very
Thank
nice,
you.
and
welcome.
very inspiring. And actually, for me, I am also experiencing the same challenge in my business during this COVID time, and I think I am reaching the rock bottom in this situation.
Mhm.
And it inspires me, and inspires me to keep me going, to continue. It's really good.
Yeah.
It is, and I hope we will continue this one and learning from you so that we can recover in this situation as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone?
Well, everybody is thinking what kind of question they have. Let me share with you, closing words from my end. My management style. I'm gonna share it with you, my management style. I have only 3 things that I started to focus on at the early part of my career. Number 1, customer is always number 1, and they are always right, even when they are wrong. But if they are wrong, you got to tell them. But, they're still number 1, okay? And I tell this to my staff. I tell this to people, customers, clients, and everybody. Number 2 is employees. I tell my employees, I have done the kind of work that you do, but I'm not gonna do it. I hired you to do a job. You have to do your job because, I can do your job, but I'm not gonna do it. Between a customer and an employee, I tell them the customer pays me money, but I'm paying you money to work for me. So you got to, understand that. Even before, number 3, I'm heading towards number 3. Even before, when I did not own my company, number 3 on my priority list is company. The company invests money, so it has to earn some money. So if you put that in a triangle, the customer is on the top, the side for the employees, is on the bottom, and the company is on, the right-hand side. So, very predictable. My decision-making process is very predictable. So that's how I impose my, my management style. Now, Mr. Takiki mentioned that we should be a leader. During the pandemic, we did something totally different. There are 21 nursing homes in El Paso. About February of 2020, February and March of 2020, most of the nursing homes in El Paso had already COVID patient. Mountain Villa, our company, did not have COVID until November of 2020. So there's a 10 months, difference between how the other nursing homes and us, got the COVID. So how did we do it? Number one, we made our patient room a negative pressure by installing an exhaust fan in our windows so that the air in the patient room doesn't recirculate all over the building. The air blows out into the outside. That's number one. Number two, we bought UV light and we sanitize the patient rooms, the bathrooms, the showers, common areas at night so that, it kills the virus. Those are the things that we did even before lockdown was mandated in, every medical facility. We locked down our building already. Nobody can come in and out of our building. We have that keypad that we put on the gate and, we screen everybody, from not coming in. So we got hit with COVID November, and it took us only 2 weeks to clear that out. And then after that, we never had any COVID anymore. Our assisted living facility never had any COVID, only the nursing home. So you got to be a leader, and think about how you're gonna protect your, your business. So if you focus customer, which is our focus anyway, you cannot go wrong. So that's, my closing statement. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate this. I think, Mr. Takiki's lecture is more on the Master of Business class already. I learned, a lot of things, and I was taking pictures of the screen. So, it's going to be a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Rivera, can I ask you a question? Can you repeat that your management style, which is on the top is the customer, on
Yes,
the
sir.
right is
Customer.
the company, on the left,
Employees.
employees.
Employees. Yes.
Okay, so since you were already successful in your business and you already reached the height, and we as a startup, okay, so I would like to share my experience with you during this COVID time. You mentioned that your business is you did a customer focus. We did also the same in our business, and but the thing is, we keep on serving our customers. We did not stop even during the COVID time. Our business is delivery, a tracking business, a delivery business. So we are serving our customers, delivering the essential goods like medicines, foods to supermarkets, to hospitals. But then our customers failed to pay us, and that hurts our business and it really hurts our business. Okay, then one of my customer also shut down last year, and we're not able to collect payments from them. So that's the challenge we had last year. We serve or we give priority to our customers, thinking customer focus, but it gives us a problem last year. So what do you think about that?
Well, that's a challenge. Any business, will have that kind of challenge. We have the same thing. We get customers or clients, and they come in, and sometimes they do not qualify for the benefit that they think they need to qualify, and sometimes they hide the money. And so it's a challenge. I think the most important thing is, you got to have your own policy that, you can only extend credit up to a certain point. Even on our end, when they start not making any money, we always watch that. My accountant, I told them, I said, if you're not able to collect money, I need to know, so in fact, we have a situation here where we have to put a lien on a land that is owned by the client because, the daughter is trying to hide, the money, the income or the retirement money of the patient belongs to the patient, but the family is using it, and that's not right. You have to be upfront with them. Says, that money belongs to the patient. You cannot use it. That would even be illegal, so, it's a matter of having a conversation. So we have had those situations in the past, and we're facing a situation right now, and we have to put a lien on a land that disqualifies the patient for, government benefit. So, it's not, any business will have that kind of challenges.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say is, of course, if we are the governors or the politicians, we have to work with the losing the money. But if in case of the business, always we think who can who can pay the money for your service, or what service, if you change your service, will worse somebody else, the new customer, I mean. So of course, customer is not always fixed. There is a lot of people. When you see in this country or the globally, you can see other guests or the customer, you can make a money if it is the company or the business. And also, what I can say is, of course, this pandemic is most severe pandemic in maybe 20th century or the late 19th century. But I experienced the Lehman shock or the Asian currency shock. So we have to learn that kind of shock. So we have to be prepared, because we may have in 10 years another pandemic, another big earthquake or something, but we have to be enough, for example, saving, know-how, or prepared. So if we prepared before the pandemic, or when the pandemic, quickly move, who is the guest, who can be a guest, and then who can pay the money for the company, who can pay for our service. So that's flexibility, and the preparation before the pandemic is the key to survive this kind of pandemic. Of course, it's not easy. Even in Okada, we had a hard time because we have to shut down almost 6 months doing nothing, no pay. Yes, we are at a very hard time, but we try to discuss with the government, and then government starts to allow the VIPs. So, okay, how we can local VIPs who used to go out of the country, but they cannot go out now. So we focus on the new customer. So we invite them to spend money in Okada. So customer, when you say customer, it's not always fixed. It's flexible. You can choose, of course, but you can choose the customer. So that's what I want to say from my experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me tell you about a situation that we have right now in the Philippines. I'm also the president of Dayatan Credit Cooperative, which we started, in the Philippines. We lend money to our members, and when pandemic hit, we have a lot of non-paying members. So I stopped lending money, because I said, and my board does not understand what we are trying to do. It says, well, people are keep asking, they want to borrow money, they want to borrow money. And I said, well, they want to borrow money, but do they have money to pay us? I said, no, we're going to hold until, everybody has a job and they have, business or income where they can get money to pay us. Yeah, but, we're destroying our reputation. And I said, no, you got to swallow your pride. That's our money. You just don't give it away. And now, you cannot collect. So, it's important. It's nice to, to be called you're the CEO or whatever, but when you're losing money, you got to swallow your pride and say, no, we're not going to do this. So my board is very unhappy because, they said, no, we're going to lose our credibility. And I said, no, we can, when pandemic is over and people have a job and they have an income, then we can start lending money again. So it's just a matter of knowing where you have to stop, It's not just, keep on going and then all of a sudden you lose everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to acknowledge some participants that would like to ask questions. Ma'am Sarah Chan, go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. Good
Hello.
evening sa lahat. First po, I would like to say thank you to Mr. Forocobo for sharing his ideas with us. My question is, with Mr. Forocobo, what do you suggest in this pandemic situation we had? Since economy is falling and many businesses is closing down, how can we survive as business owners?
This is the end part of our...
Okay. Of course, I can say in this pandemic, most of the people, not only in this country, even in Japan or the US, most of the people having a hard time. So I cannot say the very, very good measures to help anybody or any business. But, there is the stock index in the US and Europe is unchanged or already go higher beyond before the pandemic. Means there are many chances or there are many companies who is dragging the economy. So I cannot tell the good answer to each of your business, but there is a change, big change here. So to grab a chance, to think this pandemic chance, the people who thinks this pandemic is chance is now making money, to be honest. So however hard we have, I want everybody, especially the leader, to be positive, to think about how we can survive. And then there should be a way in each business. Of course, I'm not the super specialist or the super consultant to tell anybody's business is the best way. Maybe the leaders, CEOs, the frontliners knows how to survive. So please correct, not think by yourself, even you are the leader. Please talk with the front lines, with the colleagues, and then please find a way. It's not the magic. The slight of effort, the accumulation of a slight of effort will lead to the earlier dawn. So maybe don't just stay doing nothing. No. Do something. Just move. touch, knock, knock, something like that. Then find a way. That's all I can say. Of course, everybody thinks, you know, Okada is lucky because the VIP paid the money. Yes, but that's Okada's role, you know, then pay a lot of tax through PACOR to the government, and then help the people who is actually in trouble. So that's our way to contribute to this country. So each person or each company, each group, there is the way to contribute to your employee or to this country. Or so I just trust, believe. It's not, yeah, you may say I'm just saying idea stories, but I'm aware, I'm always think like that. And then somebody say, I already breached. No, I already spent my money for the new business here. So I have no money, but still, because I think the pandemic is the chance, because everybody is so hesitant to start a new business. That's what I think. I cannot say everybody can do it, but that's my way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Let me give you an insight how the US is handling their business right now. Because we are in the healthcare business, the government has provided some means by which we could borrow money from the government. We have two programs that they have instituted: the PPP, which is called Payroll Protection Program. If you do it right and you do your accounting right, that loan can be forgiven. In fact, we made 2 loans already, and the government has approved our loan that they will have to forgive it. So we have that. Now we have another one, program of the government, EIDL, Emergency Income Disaster Loan. This is a loan, and we are just making the application right now. This is strictly as a loan. We have to pay this back, but the interest is so low, 3.75%. Okay, so we made that application, and I told my accountant, I said, you have to redo your chart of account, make sure that, you know, each and every item that the government wants us to use that money has to be coded in that particular chart of account, so that, you know, if and when they collect the money, we would not be, you know, denied to where we misuse the money somewhere else. So, you know, those are the things, and we're lucky here because we have that kind of program compared to the Philippines. I'm not familiar with such a program that you have in the Philippines because I'm also a board member of a hospital that is in Pangasinan, and other than the money that we were able to get from the PhilHealth when they were not paying us, we were able to get some money from PhilHealth, and that money belongs to us. They were not paying us anyway. So I think that was also given to us, and, you know, we own that money, and it was given to us. So we were able to survive that hard time when the pandemic hit. But it's not like the US, where you have the payroll protection program and you have the emergency disaster loan that we're able to get. So, you know, just be aware of those things. And if you have to shut down, you know, a branch or whatever, you know, or tighten yourself, lay off some employees, those are necessary as part of being in management. Thank you.
Excuse me, to Mr. Rivera. With regards to layoffing the employees, for me kasi, even though business is going down, sometimes break even, but I don't intend to lay off any of my employees because for this pandemic, people here in the Philippines are very, uh, what to call this, very low in what you call this, very low in
They
employment.
don't have resources, you mean? They don't have resources, they don't have savings.
Yes, sir, and very low in employment. And with regards naman in lending some money, especially sa bank or other lending offices, parang they also stop lending money.
Well, I understand that. In the hospital, when we had a hard time over there, we brought that matter to our staff. I said, this is the situation. Either we lay off some people or we close down the company. And that was a hard choice. This is the solution came from the staff. They said, Mr. Rivera, if you close the hospital, we won't have a job. If you lay us off, we won't have a job. Why don't we just do this? They said, we will just, keep on going and we will just get advances, whenever we have the money. So we did, what the suggestion was from the staff, because I said, we cannot continue because we don't have the money to keep on going. But they said, this problem is going to pass. We wanted to stay, and we can just give us an advance to to pay our family. And I really appreciated the kind of attitude the staff has, and that's what we did, and we did survive in that hospital. So it's a matter of I understand that our employees in the Philippines, they are totally different, and employees, I consider them as a family member, and there will be situations where somebody need more money than the others, and we just have to see what their needs are, and we got to help them in some way. So yeah, I understand the situation. It's totally different. It's difficult when people don't really have the means to to survive.
Can I add one more things from in terms of the business point of view? It is not the case to all the company or the old group or the older person, but when, for example, one business have a 100 customer before pandemic, but 90% gone, and then only 10 customer left. In that case, the owner, CEO, or the people tend to cry for missing 90 guests. But me, I have a 10 guests. I ask the 10 guests, I spend a lot of time with the 10 guests. Why you still come to my business or to my shop or to my restaurant in this pandemic? Why? There is a lot of implication, hint to expand your business from that 10 people. So before crying, missing 90 people, of course, we have to think why, but mainly because of pandemic. So why they can come under that hard situation? That's the one implication I can give you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're already done with our interaction with our guest and with my co-host, Mr. Takiki Furukubo and Mr. Junicio Rivera. It seems that we really learned a lot from them through their real life stories and testimonies and as well as how we can be the best leaders and how we can overcome the pandemic economic struggle. Now, let us have a short recap on the things that we have learned from tonight's discussion. True leadership is a representation of what the way you work with your team to achieve goals. A true leader makes an effort to help people develop their team skills so they can reach their full potential. They lead by example and establish strong, trusting relationships to ensure success within the team and for the organization as a whole. A good leader models excellent behavior and must be able to motivate and encourage people. The most successful companies and organizations have leaders who help their staff understand the value and their vision and show them how everyone can work together to achieve that goal and the rule. According to Buddha, our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Buddha is talking about how our experience in our life and eventually it will become habitual. If we continue to respond life with our thoughts and emotions that are aversive or negative, we will experience in life greater suffering. If we respond with mindfulness, patience, and compassion, we will experience in life with a greater joy in what we do. Self-help manuals encourage us to think and grow rich or engage in positive thinking. What I've learned from our speakers and our guests or co-hosts is that the starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desires bring weak results. Just as small fire makes a small amount of heat. Without desire, there is no fire. The fire within can only come out when you really want it. So that's why the start of anything great is the moment you decide. You have to have that burning desire from within. The moment you decide, that is the start for something great. Do whatever you can to find that spark, to get that fire to start burning. Patience, persistence, and perspirations make an unbeatable combination for success. Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. Nothing is game over or dead end for the person who refuses to give up. There is no failure to the person who does not quit. There is only delayed success. If it is not happening right away, do not quit. Have patience for the fact that it has not showed up yet. But patience in working toward it, it persists, it eventually be your strength. And growth comes only through continuous effort, struggle, every adversity, every failure, every heartache, and carries within that seed of an equal greater benefit most great people have attained. Their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. Opportunity often comes in disguise in a form of misfortune or temporary defeat. Most people strive for a life, just a little or no struggle at all. No one wants to seek pain or challenges. But this is precisely when growth lies in these challenges and the struggle that come from pushing for what you really want in life. Those who refuses to go after what they truly want in life have failed by default. Sure, they might not have to suffer through setbacks. They won't have to live with the embarrassment of failure, but they will have to live with something much worse, and that is regret. If you're really pushing to become the very best version of yourself, there's going to be failure. There's going to be heartache, embarrassment, and everything in between. But if you refuses to quit, if you persist, not only you succeed in getting your goal, but you will earn something much more valuable, pride and character. Only come from growth, only comes from pushing yourself and cannot buy it. You have to earn it. Most of us give up. Don't be just most. When your temporary defeat visits you, take responsibility what you can do better. How can you use failure as a lesson? How can your plan or path be clearer next time around? Do not give up. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can be achieved. There are no limits to the mind except those we acknowledge. I believe there were no limits. Most of the greatest people in history refuses to entertain the limits. You are the master of your destiny. You can influence direct control of our own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. If you cannot do great things, do small things in greater way. Don't wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work whatever tools you may have at your command. Better tools will be found as you go along. Okay, guys, this is the end part of our program in Drug-Free Philippines. I would like to thank our speaker and co-host, Mr. Junicio Rivera and Takiki Forokubo. Thank you for the both of you, sir. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time from your busy schedule to be our speaker tonight's program in Drug-Free Philippines movement. Your presence and wise words help magnify our cause in the best possible way. Our program is a huge success. All thanks to you, to your enlightening words that inspire so many people out there. Thank you. Guys, I think you are all fantastic. Thank you for viewing and listening. I am looking forward that you will be sharing all your learnings to others. Have a wonderful evening. Just continue learning every day. This is your host in our program Drug-Free Philippines Movement. And again, I am Mark Adili, Vice President of PIVID, or People's Volunteer Against Illegal Drugs, is now saying to you, have a pleasant evening and God bless and goodbye. Bye-bye, guys. See you in another week. Thank you.